Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. Except today we don't have any tea in the cup. Instead, inside of this lovely Scooby-Doo mug that we got from Goodwill, we have some blackberry apple cider from a local orchard. It is so good. I love it. I love me some good apple cider, and so this is a happy kind of time for me. God, it's so good. Anyway, now that I'm done with that for a second here, let's get into what we're actually talking about tonight, which are 6 fantastic spells for your villain to have in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. These 6 spells are on the spell list, on the official published spell list. They are really, really fantastic spells for your villain to take. Honestly, fantastic spells for some players to have every once in a while too, just in case. But we're going to go ahead. They are all mid to upper level. The lowest one is 5th level, so, you know, hash that out how you will in your brain. But most villains can cast up to 9th level spells when you get towards the end game anyway, regardless of really what level the players are. Once they're hitting that 9th, 10th level, villains that they can fight have the ability to hit those 9th level spells. So it's kind of like, close enough. And let's be real here. A good lich is always a good villain for a game. So let's go ahead, let's dive in and take a look at these here 6 spells. In level order, really, is the only order we have here. Level and then alphabetical if it's got some at the same level. But level order is just what we're going to go with. These aren't ranked in any way. Obviously, the higher you get, the more strength it has. But let's just go ahead, let's get into it. First up, the 5th level spell, Gaius, is a enchantment spell, the casting time of 1 minute that lasts for 30 days out to a range of 60 feet with verbal components. You place a magical command on a creature that you can see within range, forcing it to carry out some service or refrain from some action or course of activity as you decide. If the creature can understand you, it has to succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become charmed by you for the duration. When it is charmed, or while it is charmed by you, it takes 5d10 psychic damage each time it acts in a manner directly counter to your instructions, but no more than once a day. Creature that can understand you is unaffected by the spell. You can issue any command you choose short of an activity that would result in certain death. Should you issue a suicidal command, the spell ends. You can end the spell early by using an action to dismiss it. A remove, curse, greater restoration, or wish spell also ends it. This is obviously really, really great for if you have a, like, sort of a villain that is really trying to, like, dig into the NPCs in particular that your that your party has around them. Gaius is something that is just, it can be mean because honestly the person cannot, it can be such a thing that the person does not realize that they are being affected in this way. It takes a minute to cast. If you pair it with a modify memory, you can erase their memory of this spell being cast on them entirely, which is stellar. And it lasts for 30 days. But wait, there's more. When you cast the spell using a 7th or 8th level, the duration is a year, and when you cast it using a 9th level spell, it lasts until it is ended by a remove, curse, greater restoration, or wish spell. So the ability to upcast this spell makes it so that you can have this minion in your back pocket for such a long time. And the reality is that you are not going to be able to use this spell on just an average NPC. It's going to have to be a statted NPC because a 5d10 psychic damage at the lowest is going to kill any general peasant. Peasants have 4 hit points. Flat out. That a magic missile oftentimes will kill a peasant. So you have to have it be a statted NPC if you're going to be using this on them, particularly because it is something that is going to be like dealing some serious damage if they accidentally act against it. A really good option for this is if you have a king or a ruler or whatever of some kind, having them be Gaius at a, you know, 7th, 8th, 9th level, whatever it is. Maybe they do it once a month at the 5th level here. If they go ahead and they get Gaius every, however often the time frame is, by or against the ruler for them, for the caster, there we go, to be able to operate how they want to, or have laws be passed that benefit specifically this caster. So it is something that you can really sort of work into essentially having favor with whoever the ruling power is in your game, so that this mage of whatever kind, it's available for bards, clerics, druids, paladin, wizard. So like plenty of different people can use it. Have them have favor with the ruling power so that they can kind of get away with what they want to get away with without too much of an issue. So Gaius, really, really fantastic spell. Can do some nasty, nasty things with it. Highly recommend checking it out if you don't already have it on some of your upper level casters, particularly if they're villains, you know. So next up, we have Contingency. This 6th level evocation spell takes 10 minutes to cast. The area or the range is self, and it lasts for 10 days. This is a weird one, and by weird I mean it's something special. In casting Contingency, you choose a spell of 5th level or lower that you can cast that has a casting time of 1 action and that can target you. You cast that spell, called the Contingent spell, as part of the casting of Contingency, expending both of the spell slots, but the Contingent spell doesn't come into effect. Instead, it takes effect when a certain circumstance occurs. You describe that circumstance when you cast the 2 spells. For example, a Contingency cast for water breathing might stipulate that water breathing comes into effect when you are engulfed in water or a similar liquid. The Contingent spell takes effect immediately after the circumstance is met for the first time, whether or not you want it to, and then the Contingency ends. The Contingent spell takes only effect on you, even if it can normally target others. You can only use 1 Contingency spell at a time. If you were to cast the spell again, the Contingent spell would be replaced. So this one is pretty obvious why this is a good thing. It is something that is a, you know, contingency plan. If you are somebody, if you are running somebody, if you are somebody who is utilizing sort of a solo look at something, or you are really concerned with something happening to you, Contingency is your best friend. Now, this is only available for Wizard, but the example they give in here is a really, really good one. If you are submerged entirely in water, water breathing kicks into effect. If you are, I don't know, say, put in prison and locked up or something like that, the Contingency could be that you immediately cast Dimension Door and you bamf, you know, way away. Even if they place magical restraints on you, stuff like that, so that you cannot cast spells. You are not actively casting the spell at that point. The spell is just essentially being held until the condition is met with Contingency. It is kind of the equivalent of readying an action for up to 10 days. So this is a really, really good one. In particular, it can be really helpful if, say, we'll go with Dimension Door again because it's a very good example, because it is kind of a combat contingent a lot of the time. If your villain gets below, say, 60 hit points, like they have 300, if they drop below 60, they immediately cast Dimension Door, I don't know, straight to the left or something like that, and they go the full 500 feet. That is a get out of jail free card instantly for them, because there's no spell to be countered in doing that. It is just something that takes effect and it's gone. They're gone in a snap then, and there's nothing that your party can really do about it. So Contingency is a really fantastic spell to have packed in your bag, both for villains and players with this one. This one is one of those that if you are a wizard, I do recommend taking it if you have the availability for it, because it is very good. So 6th level spell, Contingency. Another 6th level spell here, Magic Jar. This necromancy spell takes 1 minute to cast, range of self, and it lasts until dispelled. There is so much text in this spell that I'm not going to go ahead and read all of it. If you want the full read, go ahead and look it up. We'll wait here for you, and then you can go back. Okay, so the Magic Jar spell is a very, very, very interesting spell, and it's really kind of engineered for these villains. Like, it is one that is engineered more for villains than players. There's no super great way for a player to use it, but there are creative enough players out there to where, you know, I'm sure there is something that they could do with it. For example, if you are somebody who is a player and you use Magic Jar on yourself in order to then inhabit a barbarian or something like that, or a minion of the bad guy to infiltrate, that's a good way to use it. But it is so situational in that case. Magic Jar is a very, very useful thing for a villain to have, however, because As you cast the spell, your body falls into a catatonic state where your soul leaves it and enters the material component for the spell. While you are in that material component, you are aware of all of your surroundings, and you can't move or use reactions of any kind. The only action you can have is to attempt to project your soul out into the world, either returning to your living body and thus ending the spell, or attempting to possess a different humanoid's body. You can attempt to possess any humanoid within 100 feet of you that you can see. Again, you can see from this thing. Anything that's warded by protection from evil and good and magic circle can't be possessed. They have to make a charisma save, which is a good saving throw to have to deal with because charisma saves are often low. On a failure, your soul enters that target's body, and that target's soul ends up in the magic jar, trapped in the container. If something succeeds, you cannot attempt to possess it again for another 24 hours. As you possess the body, you retain control of it. You retain control of it for a while too. Your game statistics are placed by the stats of the creature, though you retain your alignment and all of your mental scores, mental quote-unquote scores, and you retain your own class features. If the target has class levels, you can't use its class features. But if it is something with a stack of hit points, like a barbarian or something, you could like beef yourself out there. Meanwhile, the other soul stuck in the jar. While you are possessing the body, you can use an action to return to you can turn from your new body to the container as long as it's within 100 feet of you, returning that creature back to its body. It's complicated. If the host body dies while you're inside of it, the creature dies, and you must make a charisma save against your own spellcasting DC. And if you succeed, you get back into the container as long as it's within 100 feet of you. Otherwise, you're dead outright. If the container is destroyed or the spell ends, your soul immediately attempts to return to your body, assuming that it is, again, within 100 feet of you, and not dead. If another creature's soul is in the container when it's destroyed, the creature's soul returns to the body if the body is alive within 100 feet. Otherwise, creature dies. It's a complicated spell, but it is a really, really good one for a villain to be able to infiltrate into the ranks of somewhere without necessarily putting their core body at risk. However, they do sort of need to keep themselves close enough at hand to actually be able to use it. This would be really good for like a royal advisor or something like that. Somebody that they could like capture, switch places with, and then go interact with, maybe keeping the gem on them so that they have the ability to like get back into the gem if needed, or if that new body dies, they can switch back into the gem because so long as the gem eventually migrates back towards the original body of the caster, they can get back into it. This is a good one to pair with Gaius, where you command somebody near you that so long, or if I die, like if this individual dies, you take this necklace that I wear and you bring it back here so that I can jump back into my body and be all good again. Not a terrible Gaius magic jar pairing there. Magic jar. Weird spell. Moving right along here, because that one took a little bit more time than I was expecting it to. Mass Suggestion, another 6th level spell here. This enchantment spell has a range of 60 feet and takes 1 action to cast, lasts for 24 hours. It's a wisdom save, so we know that those are pretty good. Mass Suggestion. You suggest a course of activity limited to a sentence or two and magically influence up to 12 creatures of your choice that you can see within range that can hear and understand you. Creatures that can't be charmed are immune to this effect. The suggestion must be worded in a manner that makes the action sound reasonable. Asking the creature to stab itself, throw itself onto a spear, whatever. It's not gonna work. Each of the targets needs to make a wisdom save. On a failed save, it pursues the course of action you described to the best of its ability. A suggested course of action can continue for the entire duration. If the suggested activity can be completed in a shorter time, the spell ends as soon as they finish doing whatever it is. You can also specify conditions that will trigger a special activity during the duration. For example, you might suggest that a group of soldiers give all their money to the first beggar they meet. If the condition isn't met before the spell ends, activity isn't performed. Kind of like a Gaius thing, but it's more of like a trigger that happens whenever something happens there. If you or any of your companions damage a creature affected by the spell ends for that creature. This one is another one where casting it up has some quality effects here. At higher levels, when you cast it using a 7th level slot, duration is 10 days. When you 8th level slot, duration is 30 days, and 9th level spot, the The duration is a year and a day. There we go. So, using the example of the guards giving a beggar their money is a really, really good one, because if you cast this using a 9th level slot on a series of, you know, higher ranking generals, and you suggest that, I don't know, when the city wall falls, they command all of their troops to flee, and then they flee themselves. Suddenly, you have a wide open door for walking in, so long as you can blow up that wall. Mass Suggestion is a nasty, nasty spell when upcast and used on the right people. So again, this is one where you have to get the right people in the right room, but once you do, you've got a ticking time bomb on your hands. Moving right along from that one, we jump straight up to 8th level with Antipathy and Sympathy. This 8th level enchantment spell has a casting time of 1 hour and lasts for 10 days. The range is 60 feet with a 200-foot cube affected area on a wisdom save. The spell attracts or repels creatures of your choice. You target something within range, either a huge or smaller object or creature in that area that is no larger than a 200-foot cube. Then specify a kind of intelligent creature, such as red dragons, goblins, or vampires. You invest the target with an aura that either attracts or repels the specified creatures for the duration. Choose Antipathy or Sympathy as the aura's effect. Long story short on this one. Antipathy, which I think is how you say that, now that I've said it half a dozen times. The enchantment causes creatures of the kind that you designated to have the urge to leave the area, quote unquote. Essentially, if they come within 60 feet of it and they can see the target, they have to make a wisdom saving throw or become frightened of the original target. They remain frightened of it for as long as they can see it and are within 60 feet of it, and they use all of their action to get away as far as they can. They stop being frightened as soon as they exit the affected area, but once it comes back within view in 60 feet, they are frightened of it again. Sympathy, on the other hand, causes the urge to approach the thing. So, if they are within 60 feet of it, or are able to see it, both of them are 60 feet or able to see it, they make the wisdom save and then do their best to get right up to it as soon as they can. It cannot move away from the thing. So, if it is harmed while doing that, it can remake the wisdom save. So, essentially, you're either repelling something from something or you are attracting something to something. If you are trying to end the effect, if it ends its turn while not within 60 feet of the target or able to see it, it makes another wisdom save. Succeeding ends the effect and recognizes the feeling of repugnance or attraction as magical. In addition, an affected creature is allowed another wisdom save every 24 hours that the spell persists. And a creature that successfully saves against it is immune to it for 1 minute, after which time it can be affected again. So, this is really, really good if you want to keep people away from something, or you want to keep something as sort of an anchor point for a bunch of people. This is really good for collecting people and creating, like, you know, collateral damage that your party may or may not want to actually involve themselves with, or for scattering people away from something if you are making an effort to, like, be inside of something and trying to, I don't know, take something over. Good example, the castle front doors. Say you have locked yourself inside of the castle. You cast this on the front doors and you specify, I don't know, humans or humanoids or something like that. And all the humans have to make saving throws or be frightened of the doors and run away from the doors. I don't think I really need to explain that any further. Like, it is really good for crowd control in very specific ways, either by drawing them all together or scattering them in another way. Moving on, we come to our final spell here. This 9th level Abjuration spell is casting time of 1 minute and a range of 30 feet, and it lasts until it is dispelled. We are talking about Imprisonment. Imprisonment, I mean, the name itself should tell you pretty much exactly why it's really, really great. But let's go ahead and let's run through it a little bit. There is so much here, so I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but generally, you create a magical restraint to hold a creature you can see within range. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be bound by the spell. If it succeeds, it is immune to the spell if you cast it again. While affected by the spell, it doesn't need to breathe, eat, drink, and it doesn't age. Divination spells can't locate or perceive the target. When you cast the spell, you choose one of the following effects: Burial, Chaining, Hedged Prison, Minimus Containment, Slumber as your options. Burial, you entomb them far beneath the earth in a magical sphere. Nothing can get to it. Nothing can get away from it. Chains. Root the target to the ground. It is restrained until the spell ends and can't be moved, or it can't move or be moved by any means until then. Hedged Prison transports them into a tiny demiplane that is warded against teleportation and planar travel. It can be a labyrinth, cage, tower, something like that. Minimus Containment. Target shrinks to the height of 1 inch and imprisoned inside of a gemstone or similar object. Light can come through, but nothing else can pass through, even by teleportation or planar travel. Gemstone can't be cut or broken. Slumber. Falls asleep. Can't be woken up. This is a nasty, nasty spell if you are, getting rid of somebody. That is how it goes, just flat out. This is a really, really, really good one for you to pack, and for it to be one of your like coup de grace type of moves. Like if the villain is replacing the ruling power or something like that, you can imprison them, get rid of them, and then they are no longer in your hair at all. So that brings us to the end of our 6, count them, 6 really, really great control spells for your villains. I love these things. I love having them on my villains because they are so fun to get to play with. They don't always come up, but in the event that I am running that kind of bad guy, this is where it's at. So, getting on to the shows that we have today, in no particular order, we have Dimension 20, Knocked Prone, Venture Maidens, Trials and Trebuchets, and Roll Out. Go check them out. Let them know that they sent you, because again, someday somebody's going to say something to me about it, and I'm going to think that it's funny, but until then, I'm going to keep asking you guys to do so. So, that brings me to the end of everything I have to talk to you guys about today. So thank you so very much for making me part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much in particular to my patrons. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. If you are interested in becoming a patron, check out the link in the episode description. Yeah, that is everything. So with all that said, don't forget everybody. Drink tea, play D&D, and keep on rolling.